I think it's safe to say that Resident Evil Requiem is going to be a big game for a lot of survival horror fans next year, because obviously, well, it's Resident Evil, and do I really have to explain it, you think? Plus, not only that, I think it's really awesome that Capcom has went ahead and actually put this on the Switch too, allowing for even more people to play it than just obviously maybe the Steam Deck, which obviously we know that's going to happen and don't know how great that is, so I guess, you know, if you want a proper handheld experience, then I guess you got Switch too. And then obviously it's on the likes of PlayStation 5, Xbox, obviously just normal PC, not handhelds, and just saying just normal PC and everything else. Well, not mobile, of course. Well, we don't actually know about that. I think obviously they'll probably try to put it later, probably like 1 year later afterwards, to put it on obviously Apple's machines like the Mac and iPhones and all that stuff. So that's, again, a great thing and a huge thing. So if you're reading the title by now, you probably are wondering, why will Resident Evil Requiem have such a huge impact? Why am I kind of putting it up there to the likes of Resident Evil 7, which, just as a quick recap for people who don't know, Resident Evil 7 basically put Capcom back on the map, because before then, it was kind of struggling with a lot of games, obviously like Street Fighter 5 and Resident Evil 6. It just wasn't really great for them. So they kind of needed something to put them back, and obviously Resident Evil 7 was that. And since then, they've just been dominating the gaming scene once again, as they always do. And so, well, here we are. And obviously in 2025, we're just kind of sitting here waiting for 2026 for Resident Evil Requiem to release. There's a few ways, obviously, it will have a large impact. One of them is very important, of course, which is story. Story for Resident Evil games are kind of, you know, a nice complementary to the gameplay, and obviously it just makes the experience even better. Story-wise, I do think this will be probably one of the best stories in Resident Evil, just because of just how they've been delivering, at least from the trailers and stuff that we've seen with Grace. It just seems really good, like 10 times even better than Ethan. And I think Ethan's story is actually really good. Even though he gets bashed in the series, I think his actual story, like his whole thing, the Winters family, is beautiful. And so will probably the Grace, the Ashcroft family, which again, I generally do like. Obviously, I wonder who the father is, so, you know, maybe we'll get an answer, maybe not. But it's just an interesting idea, and I really can't wait until we get to play this, because I think the story is going to be really good, and it's going to have definitely implications, or not implications. Probably it will have implications to the, you know, future things that will obviously it will set up. So like, I don't know, new characters, new arcs and stuff like that. So that's of course going to be the thing with Resident Evil Requiem, most likely. But just story wise and how detailed and how rich it will probably be is something that I think will largely impact the other games. Maybe even the remakes, you know, like maybe it will make them so like, oh, okay, we can't do that because, you know, our Requiem was such a big success. They may have to change it. I don't know. This is just kind of speculation on that part. I think another thing with story is also the characters and how they're written. For example, Grace is pretty relatable to a large audience because they can see themselves as probably introverts, and how Grace acts and her behavior is very similar. Like that whole thing with, obviously, as you just saw, with Grace obviously not answering the phone because she's too busy on her laptop and stuff like that. I can get that. Like I can actually relate to some stuff like that, and I think a lot of people kind of could relate to little things like that, which makes it more natural, more, you know, realistic in a sense. And I think we're going to see a lot of that as time moves forward to each game, because obviously there's a lot of things they can really cover with some of these characters, like maybe guilt and stuff like that, or a character that's, by the way, Billy Cohen doesn't count because he wasn't really that bad of a guy, and to be honest, like, I just don't really count him. I'm just gonna say that now. Really horrible, and I mean horrible that they change over time. Like, I'm not saying we haven't seen some stuff like that, but I would like to see, like, something that we really hate the character so much, and he's the main lead, and he's probably done something really awful, and then he just changes over time, and actually better himself. I think that would be cool. Just little things like that. I can't really list a lot of them, but yeah, you kind of get the idea what I'm trying to say, which is obviously just interesting written characters. Again, I feel like we're going to see a lot of very intriguing characters in Resident Evil Requiem, like obviously the guy that's sitting on the chair, who I'm guessing might be obviously the big bad, or heck, even other characters that haven't been seen yet. Another impact I would probably say is graphics. Obviously, this is really just down to portability on other consoles and platforms, like obviously the Switch 2 as I mentioned, / Steam Deck, obviously stuff like that. I think as time moves forward, we're going to be seeing a lot of games just kind of release for both handhelds and home consoles, and obviously just general PCs, you know, your big actual desktops. So yeah, I think that's another thing I wanted to highlight. Perspectives as well will obviously be a major factor because, as you know, Resident Evil Requiem probably took a lot longer than it needed to be because it was adding both first person and third person. And I think, I'm not sure if they're going to do this always going forward, but I will be down for it if they do. But again, I think this is also going to be determining what way will they go, or maybe potentially, like I said, they might go both. But I generally think, depending on how much people use which perspectives the most, will probably be the deciding factor going forward, because, well, how else would you get a rough estimate of how much people use this or that without actually having both usable in the game? And I think that's probably another factor. And this is kind of my last point too. Wraps up pretty much everything I really have to say in this video. I just wanted to go over the more important ones. Obviously there's stuff like audio, level design and stuff like that will obviously be affected too, and moving forward we will definitely get some sort of influences by Requiem. And again, like I said, a lot of other things that I haven't mentioned in this video, but I just wanted to focus on the ones that I think are the most important. So if you did enjoy this video and you do like Resident Evil, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share with your family and friends. I'll see you all next time. Peace out guys, and have a lovely day.